So today we're going to talk about this book, Stardust by Neil Gamin. I've never actually read this book before, even though I've seen the movie multiple times. It's my boyfriend's favorite movie. There will be spoilers in this video, so I do not suggest watching it if you have not read Stardust by Neil Gamin. I don't actually have a script for this, so there's a very good chance that it will suck. Well, I really enjoyed this book. I was really surprised by the amount of magic that was used in it. So even most of my YA fantasy novels having this amount of magic in it, usually they're more, I don't know, almost real. At the same time, I really fell in love with these characters, Tristan, and his name is Tristan, T-R-I-S-T-R-R-A-N, which really threw me for a loop when I realized that. I was like, is there a typo? And then I realized there was a typo on every page. My mistake. So Tristan Thorn and Yvain were actually very fascinating characters. Hi, Justin. Stardust. So I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I thought Victoria was actually a rather likable character. I mean, she wasn't as hated. Like, she was much more real than the character was in the movie. I thought that she was just a person who wasn't in love with Tristan, and Tristan was a young boy who was head over heels in love with her. I really liked how instead of Dunstan just wandering into a village or the wall through the gap, there was a marketplace in Wall. That market was a mix of the fairies and the people of Wall, and how fairydom... Night, baby. I really liked how fairydom was kind of a part of Wall. And I like how Tristan wasn't really surprised at meeting people, not Tristan, how Dunstan wasn't surprised about meeting people who were different from him. I also liked how the mother, Una, which we didn't know was Una at the time, well I did because I'd seen the movie, had cat ears, which is a very minuscule factor, but I thought it was really interesting because in the movie she was just a normal human who was really pretty. So, my favorite part of the book was how the love grew between the two of them without them even noticing. I really liked the part where Tristan was in the chariot with Primus on his way to save Yvain, and Primus said, "You're just a young boy in love," and Tristan looks at him and was like, "I never told you about Victoria." And it's like, I see what you did there. Because he was falling in love with Yvain, who he didn't know his name was then. I did miss the large battle scene between Tristan, the witch, and Septimus and all the others, and I thought that was a really cool scene in the movie. I was really expecting that in the book, and I was like, can't be over. Wait, what? It's over? Where's the battle scene? But that's okay. It didn't really need it. It's just, I was expecting it. I also missed the cross-dressing pirates. Cross-dressing pirates are really cool, and I was sad that they weren't there. Although, the Stormgatherers were also really nice, and I really liked the idea of the Fellowship. It left me asking a lot of questions. Who is this Fellowship? Over here, in the part where Tristan is on the ship. Let me find it. Okay, so here it is. When Tristan is talking to the captain, he says, "You know," said the captain, staring off toward the horizon, "it wasn't entirely fortune that we found you. Well, it was fortune that we found you. But it'd also be true to say that I was keeping half an eye out for you. I, and a few others about the place." "Why?" said Tristan. "And how did you know about me?" In reply, the captain traced a shape with his finger in the condensation on the polished wood. "It looks like a castle," said Tristan. The captain winked at him. "Not a word to say too loudly, even up here. Think of it as a fellowship." Tristan stared at him. "Do you know a little hairy man with a hat and an enormous pack of goods?" The captain tapped his pipe against the side of the boat. A movement of his hand had already erased the picture of the castle. "Aye, and he's not the only member of the fellowship with an interest in your return to Wall." And at the end of the book, it says, "After Tristan's death, there were those who claimed that he was a member of the Fellowship of the Castle and was instrumental in the breaking of the power of the Unseelie Court." I want to know more about this! The Unseelie Court in fairy legend is fascinating. The Seelie versus the Unseelie Court, the dark versus the light. I find it incredibly interesting and I want to know more about it. Gamin, why are you hiding this from us? I also really liked Yvain as a heroine. She's a really interesting form of heroine in that she's not exactly needy, nor is she very needless. She does need Tristan to save her, but at the same time, she doesn't want him to. She resists him all the time. She's kind of spunky, and I like that about her. I do wish at times that she was able to take care of herself more, but I do suppose that her broken leg kind of made that impossible. And that also makes me curious as to why Neil Gaiman gave her a broken leg when in the movie she didn't have one. She seemed much more independent in the movie than she was in the book because of the leg. I wonder if Neil Gaiman was giving her a more damsel-y type thing. I is a college student, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not entirely sure, but her personality was definitely not damsel-y at all. As for the evil witch queen, I thought she was a very interesting character as well. I didn't think she was as interesting as she was in the movie, I suppose. Same with Lady Una. Lady Una in the book was kind of a bitch. Like, all like, let's go ride on elephants and palicans and let's be all showy offy. In the movie, she was kind of awesome, like, totally awesome. Like, come on, Tristan, you are now the king of Stormhold, and I am your mother, and I will be your hero. And then, in the book, she was a little bitchy. Just a little. I like how Tristan was just like, no. And then Yvain's like, I'm not gonna fight with the mother of the guy that I like. That's a horrible idea. And Tristan's like, don't worry. I got this. Anyway, I thought Stardust was a great book, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. Although, if you haven't read it, I really don't suggest watching this video. It's a little spoilery. Thanks to everyone for watching. DFTBA.